9th of January, Rabbi Levitt, Pele Yoetz.
Oh,
It's either the next to last or the.
we got up to page 184.
4.
Oh, we did that. 184.
But we didn't do the last 3. I think.
This Gemara in Rosh Hashanah, we actually did do this. We didn't look up the Gemara. We just read this subject: prohibited for a person to demand divine retribution for a personal offense of his friend.
Started that. Okay.
Right. So we're up to the the prohibited to contradict the words of one's father, mother, and teachers.
Okay, hold on.
That's where we're up to. Okay, so we're we're up to. Oh, yeah. Also, listor divrei aviv v'divrei imo v'divrei rabosov. Sho'omer lo kain. Oh, sho'omer lo kain. Okay. Okay, Eliezer, you want to?
I would start, but I can't find it. Somebody else start and I'll pick it up in the middle.
Okay.
My paragraphs are slightly different, so I don't.
Okay. So who wants to start? Anybody feel that they're capable of starting?
All right, I'll start.
Okay.
It is prohibited to contradict the words of one's father, mother, and teachers, and say, it is not so. That's what it says in Tehillim 1:4, not so, or the wicked. Even to affirm the other's position and say, my father spoke well, or my teacher spoke well, is forbidden. It is even prohibited to contradict his friend's words if there is concern that it will cause controversy and animosity.
Okay. Wow. Filu divrei chavero asur listor ika lemechash lemachlekes v'sina. Right. Okay. So if anything would lead to machlekes and sinna, even to yeah. In other words, if you know that the person will take your words for the if in the way that they're given, that you're just simply telling him that he's not right about what he's saying, and he should, but he's interested to hear what you have to say, and it's not going to cause controversy and animosity and machlekes, so then go right ahead. But sometimes, it's not so. And in that case, it really is there's no real purpose in contradicting him, because he's not interested in anybody contradicting him anyway, or telling him that he's not right. He's not interested in hearing anything. So it's 100%. It's not so hard to hear at all that you should just not contradict this person. There's no benefit to be gained in attempting to teach him what the emes to be, because he's set. on what he knows the emes to be. Okay. And only cause machlekes and sinna. Okay. And about fathers and mothers, that's the din. That's the din. Okay. Say we'll go on. The bottom of 184. Good morning, Mayor.
Good
Shvuah
morning.
Morning, Mayor.
Good morning.
tov.
Hi,
And we
Mayor.
Hi.
we're up to the bottom paragraph of page 184. It is prohibited to greet one's rabbi. Oh. Okay, let's listen. Let's hear what this has to say. Oh, Eliezer, did you find
Yeah,
the place?
I'm good. I got the place. And I'm
Okay.
confused, but I'll read it anyhow. Usher litan shalom l'rabo. It's usher to give greetings of shalom to your teacher, or the hashiv shalom l'rabo, I guess to ask about his health. Lo yitain shalom klal. You shouldn't give greetings at all. L'kayim ra'uni ne'arim ve'nechba'u. That's an Eov. Or Yomer Shalom Alayach Rabba Mori, or to say Shalom Aleichem, my teacher, my master, my teacher. Chen also likro Rabbo la'avi v'imo b'shmam, and it's also usher to call your rabbi, your teacher, or your father or mother by their name.
Okay.
I don't understand the pasuk in Eov, and I don't understand the whole paragraph.
Okay. Yeah, all we have here is a citation from Eov. We don't have a Gemara or a citation in Shulchan Aruch, which would be easy way to research what's the matter all about.
Mhm.
So what shall we do over here? And I don't have a. I keep saying this. I don't have. I have to get a Tanakh. I have to get a set of Tanakh. Okay. Mhm. We could look up this citation to the Rambam, but that's the other halacha. Also, likro l'rabo l'aviv l'imo b'shmam.
Well, that one I understand. I have no problem with that. But the first part, where you just can't even greet them. I guess you're not supposed to initiate the greeting, but you can respond to it. I don't, or not, or you can't respond to it.
Yeah, that could be what he's saying. That could be what he's saying. But it's not. It would seem to me he should have had to say, "Aser lahakdim shalom."
Yeah, I would have that would make sense. But to say
And
also
not
litan
only-
shalom,
What?
when he says also litan shalom or hashiv shalom, you can't greet him or respond to the greeting.
Yeah, yeah. That's that I don't understand. Even lahashiv. So it didn't. It sounds like whatever it is that the first statement means, the second statement sounds like not even to respond and give back.
We know, like you see the Gemara in Brachos, where it's talking about when you can interrupt, where and when you can interrupt in Kriya Shema to greet people. You're certainly expected to respond, at least to respond to greetings from people.
Yeah, this pasuk in the pasuk in Eov Re'uni Na'orim. The young boys saw me, v'nechbo, and they secreted themselves. So that's the source for his statement. He's saying. So it's sort of like they have an English statement like that, right? An English saying like that: "Children should be seen and not heard."
Right.
The young boys saw me and they hid themselves. So, in that sense, he's saying that the relationship should be like that between one's a student and his teacher.
It does say that you could say to your teacher or your rabbi, "Peace be upon you, my rabbi and teacher."
So what, if that's the case, then what is usher?
Hi, how are you?
Shalom alecha Rebbe Mori. Litain shalom. Yeah, it's very, very it's also litain shalom. Yom shalom alecha. I would have said, if you would ask me, I would have said that Shalom alecha Rebbe Mori, that's called the litain shalom, the rabbo. That's what I would have said that it means. But he's saying it's not. It's two different things.
How are you is a inquiry of a personal nature. The answer is I'm fine, thank you, or I'm not well, or yeah, I'm in a hurry, or what do you want, or something. But to say, peace be upon you, my rabbi and teacher, is a bracha. It's not a question. You're not prying, as it were, into your rabbi's or your teacher's private feelings or state.
I hear what you're saying. I just don't see that in the words. I don't. Maybe that's what he means. Also, litain shalom, to give shalom. That means to ask about one's welfare. Truth to be told, we saw this before when we were talking about this matter, sending greetings to a woman. I don't know if I want to get into that one again either. This is it's very you really have to. I mean, I'm sure he's not making this up. He's basing what he's saying on a Gemara somewhere, and or the Shulchan Aruch or some sefer, but we just don't know where the we're not familiar with where the sources are, what it exactly is the case is. Unfortunately. Okay, so another way, so he does say you could say those words. Shalom alecha Rebbe Mori, which is a bracha. Really, that's what I would say it is.
Right. But then when he says, V'chein asur likro l'rabbo or avilim b'shmam, how does V'chein come into there? How is that calling them by their name related to whether how you greet them?
I guess the V'chein is referring to the same lack of whatever is deficient in this, what he said, that it was usher to litain shalom, is likewise the same deficiency. There's some. I don't think that he simply means just like this is usher, that is also usher. It could be that that's what he means, but I think there might be some common denominator in what is deficient and why it is that it's forbidden.
Could he be
I think it has to
saying,
do with familiarity.
yeah, and in some way, the familiarity is a lack of kavod, and therefore you can't,
Yeah, it's like Roy said. You say, "Hey, how are you?" You're being familiar with the person. It's like he's your friend, he's your buddy,
yeah,
and that's not respectful to treat your rabbi like he's your buddy. Whereas you say Shalom Aleichem Rebbe Amori, that's that's more formal. So I guess if your rabbi says, "Good morning, Lou, how are you?" Then you say Shalom Aleichem Rebbe Amori in response. That's what he seems to be saying.
no, I think you can, if he asks you a question, you can answer it.
It says
But
you
when you're
can't
talking-
respond to the greeting of his rabbi.
You're now.
Is the question, one of the questions is this something that is that we do today, or is at the times we live in, have they sort of altered our approach to this question? And if the answer is yes, should we go back to the to what it says here? Are we becoming too loose in our relationships?
Okay. Okay, I hear it. Yeah, it's a interesting point. Okay. So maybe I'll ask a Rav about this, see what he has to say about this Pele Yoetz. And there's Hashem, I'll get back to you. And in the meantime, we will proceed further. Unless anybody has anything else they want to say about this.
How do the people in your circle greet thereof? Have you noticed?
Yeah, no one asked the Rav how he's doing.
What about the answering? I mean, generally in the morning, when we start the class, both you and Rabbi First and Rabbi Moore, I think, have a tendency to say, "Hi, how are you?" or "Good morning, how are you?" whatever. And, I usually respond to that. I would think it'd be rude to not respond.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so these are all very good points, and they're points that come up every day, more than once. And so we have to find out what is the proper Torah perspective on this matter. We have to understand so in other words, what we have to do is we have to find out two things. What is the Pele Yoetz saying exactly?
Oh, yeah.
That's number one. And we also have to find out how we should conduct ourselves. Should we conduct ourselves like that, and if not, why not? So that's what we have to find out. That's we got a project over here.
Yes, I was going to ask,
I haven't
Okay.
spoken to the Rav in a long while, so I'm very happy to have the opportunity.
I was going to ask how we should greet you, if at all. But what are your
If it
Yeah,
personal
all-
that's part of the
thoughts?
question.
I beg your pardon?
That's part of the question. That's
Yeah,
part of the
yeah.
question.
Yeah.
What is the Pele Yoetz saying? What should one do generally? Why should one do if it's different than the Pele Yoetz, and why is it that we do differently? What's that? What's
Hmm.
and number three, a very, very specific question. Lamaisa, when we have a situation like we have, a group is learning. How should they? And one is quote unquote considered to be the rabbi, the teacher. What is the? I don't mean quote unquote. I mean one person is the rabbi. So what is proper according to the Torah? This is what we all want to do. We want to know. Absolutely. Very, very good. Excellent. So we have to know. Maybe we're not understanding what the Pele Yoetz is saying, or maybe we don't do what the Pele Yoetz is saying. Maybe we should do what the Pele Yoetz is saying. It's a whole discussion over here. Okay. Okay, we go to and a round of applause for page 184. It's quite a page. Wow. Now we go up to 185, and we top of the page, and we go to Roy to continue. It's prohibited to raise one's voice.
It is prohibited to raise one's voice at the time when other people are praying or learning, because it confuses them and disrupts their concentration. One who assists others who are doing a mitzvah is given a reward like a doer of the mitzvah himself. Sanhedrin 79b.
Wow.
They seem
just moved.
different.
What,
What?
Roy?
They don't seem related.
Right, are the two sentences in the same place, or
Yes.
as Roy says, they don't seem to be.
Well, maybe it's a mitzvah not to raise your voice at that time.
I think the connection is that
Yeah.
by not raising your voice and thereby helping the person with their concentration, you are assisting them in doing the mitzvah.
Hmm. So you're like them, like you're like the doer of the mitzvah himself,
Yeah,
and you get
you
a
get credit
reward
for
like
their
that.
learning. If you're sitting in the base midrash and and somebody is learning,
Hmm.
and your friend comes in and he says Shalom Aleichem, and you go like this. So you just help the person do his learning, and you get credit as though you were doing the same learning.
This is a what do you call it? A passive way of earning brownie points, mitzvah points. If I want to earn mitzvah points, I've just got to walk through the through the Mir Yeshiva and be quiet.
No,
Exactly.
you don't even have to go
Well,
there.
I will tell you that there are people who daven in a loud voice, and I do find it very disturbing when I'm davening.
Me
Because
too.
they'll be quiet and just randomly come up with a loud voice, and it disturbs my concentration terribly.
Mm.
Yeah,
Ditto.
me too. And there was a person that did that, and I actually asked him not to do it, and he refused. And I really, really disliked that person.
Mhm. So you're not going to invite him to your birthday? Okay.
I don't invite him to anything.
Did not give you respect for your wishes, not disturbing others.
Okay, so this might be different in a yeshiva setting when you have 800 boys in a or men in one base medrash. I mean, this just the decibel level is overwhelming.
Right. No, I understand. Yeah, it's different in a yeshiva setting, but when people are davening and all of a
Yeah.
sudden people just try out,
Yeah,
and everybody's relative, it's very disconcerting.
yeah. If
Also,
it's-
also in the yeshiva, it's I don't learn at my son's yeshiva because I can't hear. It's just it's too loud, like you just said.
Yeah.
And I have trouble with my hearing anyway, and it just exacerbates
Oh,
it. And
okay.
I can't understand what he's saying. I'm sitting right next to him, I can't communicate with him. It's too
You put
loud.
on your hearing aids, and that just increases the general noise level.
Background chatter, yeah, gets it magnified instead of the voice of my son. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
All right.
Okay. Okay. Although, I'll tell you, the Gemara in Eruvin does say that someone that learns Bakol, it facilitates the memory of what it is that he's learning.
Yep.
I thought that was referring to singing.
You don't have to sing, but if you speak out, I mean, if the main idea is that it engages the person more in the learning, that he's more active, he's more focused, his ears hear what it is that his mouth is saying. So of course, not to disrupt somebody else, but there has to be some type of a happy medium. In other words, you don't find, maybe you'll find in a library of a university, lahavdil, it'll be very quiet. But in our yeshivas, it's not like that. First of all, the one reason is because you have chavrusas, you have people talking to one another. But in fact, there are places in yeshivas where it's expected that you don't learn b'chavrusa. Everybody's learning there by themselves, and you have to know what's accepted in that study hall that you're in. But generally speaking, in most yeshivas, a large bati medrash, that's what it is. That's what it is. You learn and you speak it out, and somehow I guess you get. I mean, it depends if you grew up with it, or even if you didn't grow up with it, you might get used to it. But if you don't get used to it, so then of course, you have to find a place where you could learn and not be confused and disrupted by what other people are doing. That's 100%, because the main thing is that you have to do what works for you and what allows you to understand what you're learning and to, because that's what it's all about.
I remember when we used to learn face to face, Rabbi Levitt, upstairs in the study hall there.
Oh yeah, right. So what was it like over there?
Very noisy, and I couldn't hear you very well unless I was right next to you.
Yeah,
And then I managed to
Yeah.
hear.
I remember that also.
yeah,
I remember sometimes there'd be one person who would just be really loud,
Mm.
sitting, by himself and just singing out, belting it out.
Mm. Oh, well.
well, so according to this Pele Yoetz, you could go over to him and you could say, you see,
I'm going to bring my Pele Yoetz with me from now on when I go to the school.
Yeah, but
and he's
Lou,
gonna
you
have
better
to
bring
be
the
able to
Hebrew
read
one.
English though.
Right, you better bring the Hebrew one because he won't read the
Right.
English.
Okay, make me a photocopy of that page, please.
Enlarged.
Yeah.
Okay. Be careful.
Okay. All right, we go on to the next section, a very long section. Wow. And we're up to Lou.
It
It
is
is
prohibited to disgrace any man, as it is stated in the Mishnah, Pirkei Avos. Do not shame any man. Our sages said, be suspicious of every man as though he is a thief in order to protect oneself, and honor him as though he is Rabban Gamliel. A person who calls his friend a slave or wicked man, or blasphemes or curses him with any kind of curse or blasphemy, is obligated to be excommunicated. It is not good to curse or blaspheme even small children, especially if one mentions curses that demand excommunication. If a person calls them donkeys or some other name of non-kosher animals, he causes the outer shell, the klipa, which is called by that name, to attach itself to the soul of the child. If he calls them something like a donkey, then he causes the klipa of the donkey to attach itself to the child that he's calling the name. Many people are not cautious in this manner and call children donkeys or dogs. It is necessary to inform them that they are damaging the soul of the child. Therefore, a person must be careful that the names of non-kosher animals should not be heard from his mouth. How careful must the public orators be not to disgrace their audiences?
Then how can we use the name Hulda?
What's Cholda mean?
Weasel. It's a
Weasel?
woman's weasel. It's a woman's name. It's a non-kosher animal. How can we use that as a name?
She was a Neviah.
I understand, but according to the Pele Yoetz, you couldn't have used that as a name. Even from the beginning, it shouldn't. She should not have been named that.
Maybe
Yeah,
it's,
Weasel is not such a
perhaps has another perhaps has another meaning as well.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Okay. I don't know the answer to that question.
Or Devora. It's a bee, also a non-kosher animal.
Devora.
Hmm.
But it gives us kosher honey.
Yeah.
And works very hard. and is subjected to the queen bee.
Oh.
When
The
they-
It's got all
test-
good traits. Hmm?
1 second, 1 second. Are you familiar with the pasuk Yisachar Hamor Gorim?
No.
No.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's what Yaakov says.
That was the bracha that he gave Yisachar.
Yeah.
What was the bracha?
Yisachar is a donkey.
Yeah.
Want to take a look in? It's in. I think it's in Vayichi, no? Right?
Sure, yeah, yeah.
In what? In Vayechi?
Vayechi, right, the brachas of Yaakov, Birchas Yaakov.
I have to go and get my. I see.
Yeah.
Don is referred to as a snake.
Yeah.
Yep,
Okay, Naphtali is a deer. A deer is a kosher animal.
Yisachar is a strong-boned donkey.
Okay.
Yeah, but didn't the donkeys help us get out of Mitzrayim?
sure.
Vayechi is the
Yeah.
last Pasha in Bereshis, 268.
Rashi says
Oh, how's that?
Yisachar is a
straight away.
strong-boned donkey who bears the yoke of Torah like a strong donkey, which they load up with a heavy burden.
I can't hear anything at the moment.
Certainly sounds pretty good.
So where is it, please? It's been
It's chapter Mem Tet 49,
yes,
Pasuk 14.
14. 19. 9, 8. Why? What happened to 14? I tried to open it. 14. Yisachar is a strong-boned donkey. He rests between the boundaries. He saw tranquility, and it was good. No land that was pleasant, and yet he bent his shoulder to bear, and he became an indentured laborer. It's sort of an indentured labor, I suppose. I don't know, but it's sort of a kind of a good thing, isn't it? Sort of a praise kind of.
It's a bracha.
Yeah,
The bracha that Yaakov Avinu is giving to Yisachar.
yeah,
should
it's a good block, isn't it? 14.
Maybe what it means is that he should be like. His bracha is Yaakov Avinu's bracha to Yisachar is that he should be like a strong-boned donkey, which in terms of his ability to bear the yoke of Torah.
Right.
So it's not really, it's been given as a bracha, it's not been given as a curse. The Pele Yoetz is
Correct.
talking about cursing
Oh.
children and not being used in a way of a bracha or a praise at all.
It says here Issachar's spiritual role. This reflects Issachar's spiritual role as a bearer of the yoke of Torah and cultivator of the spiritual treasures of the people. And when it says he rests between the boundaries, the Torah sages toil day and night in their studies without formal rest, but they are spiritually tranquil. Yeah. So it's,
Right. So I think that must be the answer. That that's what I think.
Okay.
So how does that relate to the names that Eliezer pointed out? The weasel and the bee.
Well,
donkeys,
this is what we're saying. We're really saying, I think we could say as follows. Is there anything in the whole world that Hashem created which is not a good thing? Everything is good. Everything has a purpose. Right?
yeah.
The point is, how do you use it? How is it used? How is it what do we do with it? There's nothing bad about a donkey. There's nothing bad about it. Like we see over here, a donkey is right. The donkeys, each Jew when he left Mitzrayim, the Medrash says he had 90 donkeys carrying the gold and the silver and all the valuables of Mitzrayim. So they did a great thing, and then they also says about the dogs. It says the dogs lo yichratz kelev es leshono. The dogs didn't open up their mouths at the Jews that were leaving Mitzrayim, and for that they were the Chazal say they were rewarded. They were rewarded that it says when you have when the shechita was not kosher and you have an avela, it says lekelem tashlichuhu. Give it to the dog. Why give it to the dog? Because he deserves a reward. He deserves a reward. So even dogs did praiseworthy things. So there's nothing bad about a chulda. It's just that if somebody curses somebody and he uses I mean, you wouldn't curse somebody by saying they're an eagle or they're a lion, because a lion is the melech of the he's the king of the jungle. For some reason, the donkeys and dogs have a in the eyes of the common folk, they have a bad name. So the same people that use those names to curse people, so the Pele Yoetz is saying it's not. I don't know about this, what he says with the klipa and everything like that. I don't know.
All right,
Okay.
Viker.
Yeah.
How careful must the public orators be not to disgrace their audiences when they speak about a topic which the audience is not meticulous in performing, even if it is written in the book of the prophets, and many of the ignoramuses do such and such, they should change it into a more respectful form. And many of the common people, a person must always speak in a respectful language that should not contain even the slightest bit of condescension, so that his listeners will not have any reason to feel insulted. Now, I wonder if he's saying this applies to everybody, because he starts out and he says man, any man. Is that any Jewish man or any man?
let me see what's the Lashon in the Pele Yoetz. Shum Adam. This is- I mean, we could look it up in the Pirkei Avos. He's quoting a Mishnah in
three.
Avos.
4:3.
There, it's Rabbah Perik. Hey, Pirkei Avos. I have a sitter, but not one that has Avos in it.
That's fine.
Pirkei
Three,
Avos, chapter
three.
4, Mishnah 3.
It says Adam. Al tihi vaz lechol Adam.
Yeah, it does sound like it's talking about non-Jews as well.
Right. Yeah, it says Adam again. There is no man who has not his hour. There's no thing, Devar, that does not have its place.
Right? Why did right? It'd be hard to say that Hashem made the goyim in order that we should be able to belittle them. It doesn't make too much sense. Plus, of the fact that the Chafetz Chaim also says, even though it may not be an isser to speak lashon hora about a non-Jew, but it's certainly not. Unless there's some reason for it, it's not a good idea it's not good for the person himself to speak lashon hora, because lashon hora is an expression of a person's arrogance and haughtiness and feeling that he's better than other people, so there would be no reason. There's no really, even if it's technically speaking, it's permissible, but it's certainly there's no real reason to do so unless he has a reason, unless there's a positive reason for pointing something out. But yeah.
Well, I've got here that this is Rabbi Bunim, right? He says here, two concepts are mentioned in our text, where it says, "For there's not a man who has not his hour, there's not a thing that has not its place." So there's two concepts mentioned. The two qualities or dimensions that bound and determine all existence, time and space. Everything in creation exists within their limits. This is the divine plan, the Creator's intention. Now he says here that every person alive, so that's without exceptions, every person alive, every object extant should have an allotted time and designated place in which to be. Then if everyone and everything that exists has time and space by divine decree in a universe governed by his will, each person, creature and object is automatically due a certain respect and reverence. All that exists, the Almighty has seen fit to endow with being and space and time, with its particular hour, its particular place. Let nothing be despised or rejected in disparagement. So that includes everybody.
Yeah.
Man. Would there be a term for man if it was that would just be for Jewish people? if you say goy, that just means non-Jewish people, right? So what is there a term for just Jewish people that could have been used here?
Sure, Yehudi.
Yehudi. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Even Ish, I was thinking if it said Ish, we might say that it's a Jewish man. Whereas as opposed to Adam.
Adam is general, the general term in that case.
And
Okay.
also quite often it says Chavero, his friend. You know, don't do something bad to your friend, which I think usually means a Jewish person, right? Is that right, Rabbi?
Yeah. Also, for example, the Isser of Lashon Hora, lo selech Rachel be'amecha. Don't go talebearing amongst your nation.
Right.
So that's where we see that the Torah has to tell us. Otherwise, we would have said that it would apply in a general sense.
All right. Yeah.
I think we're out
Okay.
of time.
It's, yeah, 11:30.
11:31. Okay.
Have a good day, everybody.
You
All the
too.
best.
Yeah, you too,
Oh,
Elliot.
we'll
You
see you
too,
soon.
Eliezer. Thank you, Rabbi.
Right. See you.
See you, Mayor.
See you later.
Okay, see you.
Best
Have a
mayor.
good day.
Bye.
Be back soon.